Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Bedrock tutorials. Now today I'll be showing you another farming tutorial, this time with the melon and pumpkin which we've got on our top floor of our realm. Now like last time's episode, I shall be doing this to show you in the 15 by 15 design that I've got for my farming skyscraper, which you of course can build in your own. And I shall be showing you exactly what this works. Now I'll be also showing you a design that's not as efficient and doesn't require as much materials. So let's just go into creative and show you this. Now once again we're going to start with our 15 by 15 area, and just like the farming tutorials that we've done before, the beetroot and wheat and other ones, we need to put our water buckets in exactly the right place, which should allow us with enough water places. Now what I'm doing here is counting 3 diagonals from the corners and then placing a water bucket. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what we want to do on top of that is a slab. And that will cover up the water. Now it shouldn't really matter if you put it below or on top, just as long as you are consistent. I would think it does. Well, you didn't have to be consistent. Now that we've got our water, we need to hoe every corner, not like that, not at all like that. So what we want to do is hoe every diagonal block. So leaving squares like this, and do that all the way around your 15 by 15 area. Now this part is the really tricky bit. You need to make sure you put a piston facing down under every single one of the not the hoed tile, but you need to make sure it goes on the unhoed tiles. So what I find best is to break one of these ones, put in this, and then slot in some half slabs around it so you can get out, put in your block, and move alongside and do the same thing. Now this bit might be a bit tricky, so you may need to remove some of your other ones, to some of your hoed blocks to do that. But keep doing that all the way around your 15 by 15 area, and eventually you'll have this covered. While I'm doing this, it's probably a good time to point out that you also do need minecart rails underneath these dirt blocks and the tilled blocks, so it's probably best not to do the water until after you've put them in. And then you need to remember to put a half slab here, so let's just fill it up, a half slab, and then the water on top of that. And of course you can cover the half slab, but I do not recommend that either. Now comes the really tricky bit. Now that you've done all of the top bits, you need to now break up these blocks and start placing in your seeds. Now what you want to make sure you do is make sure you do your melons in this first line of diagonals, then pumpkins here, so I've got pumpkin seeds. Let's break this. And of course I'm in creative mode, so I won't fall down, but you do need to be careful not to fall down yourself. Hold shift if it helps, and then cover these back up again. And the third line will be melons, and so on and so forth. So let's just finish this up, and then we shall get back to the redstone part of this build. While we're planting this, I shall explain why we're doing this in diagonals rather than the other way. It's because if we're going to have them in straight line, so straight along here, if we have a melon seed here, it will say grow under here. This one being fully grown will also grow here, so that means that reduces the chance. If this is fully grown, then this will also connect into that. It reduces the chance of this one growing to somewhere else. Whereas if we have diagonals, this one might grow here. This one is a pumpkin. This one will be the opposite type around, so we can still grow in the other 3 around it. So that just slightly maximizes the amount we can do in this. Right, now that we've done this, we need to have enough redstone to cover this entire block, which is, I believe, a 14 by 14. Which, if my math serves me correctly, is 196 redstone. So it's quite a lot of redstone, and it does mean that you do need to cover every single one of these blocks. You can't really skimp out on this. I don't think you can really skimp out on this because of the way we're going to set up our top bit at the top. So let's just quickly finish this off. This will take no more than about 10 seconds, at least the way I'm doing it in survival. It will take a little bit longer in creative, sorry. So it will take shorter in creative than it will in survival. So this is now all done. Now what we need to do is start setting up ourselves our redstone clock on top of this. So I'm going to get myself a couple of blocks of of temple blocks up here. Now these need to be roughly in the middle of the redstone layout that we've got on the bottom here, otherwise the signal will not reach. So once again, to create a redstone clock, we have 2 hoppers facing into each other, a comparator on either end, a block coming out into the comparator on each end, redstone on each end here, which I didn't put a block here, and pistons, sticky pistons will do, or normal pistons, and filling this up. Now I'll just fill my inventory with some slabs. I like to put these at 5, the complete 5, but you can have a shorter time if you want your pistons to fire more often. Now that is all good. Now we just need to make sure we get ourselves a redstone signal coming out of this. So the redstone signal will come into this, into a redstone block. We need some torches, and to fire that into the bottom bit here. Need to remember how to do this bit. And after that quick cut, we need to put the redstone torch underneath either one of these redstone lines. It shouldn't matter which one. You want to pick the one that's closer to the center, like that. So what we need to do now is just make a quick check as to make sure that all of these pistons are firing. So we'll put a redstone block. Where is it? The redstone block, which will fire everything. And under there should fire. If every single one fire, you know you've got it in the right place. And it looks like we've lucked out and got every piston in the right place, because all of these are firing. So that is this tutorial just about done. Now just a reminder that you need to put the minecart hoppers going underneath these blocks, otherwise it will not pick up as well. It needs to be rails, because a normal hopper will not pick up a item under. If a hopper is like this over here and we have a redstone block, an item will not get picked up on top of it, like so. So that's just a little bit of extra knowledge there, which I probably should have mentioned in other videos. So there we go. So now this is all done. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any other ideas that you'd like to know, actually no, wait, I've got. And as you can see, we just need to put in a torch here. Now we did need to check one more thing to make sure that all these pistons will fire. And if we have a look at that, I believe all of them indeed are firing. So now this is really one of the most expensive ones you can do, because it does stretch over a long distance. It requires a lot of redstone. If I'm counting this, that's just 196 just to cover this bit. Then you need another 2 for the redstone dust, that's 198. Another 9 here, that's 207. And you need, I think it's 3 each for the comparators, which is 213 or something like that. So that's quite a lot of redstone. This is, of course, a redstone heavy task, and of course you need a lot of redstone for the pistons themselves. So this is more of a mid-game setup that you want to do. Of course, if you're setting up a massive farming scraper like I did in the realm, this is probably a little bit more at that level. So I'm going to show you a design that's a little bit less redstone heavy. It does still require pistons and I believe an observer. So let's just go straight into that. And this is our basic design over here. Now I will rebuild it, but it works on a slightly different principle to the one that we've got back there. I just need to get some bone meal to show you what happens. So, and some melons, because these are melons. Melon. So, let's just say we've got our grown pumpkin, grown thingamabobs. And like that. So this one of course go there. Now we've got a powered lever here going into a redstone block, which will then fire into here, and once that fires it would then fire the pistons, and of course you can have a piston here to break this one as well. And let's just do that. So a piston there, one there, and it will fire. We need to make sure that this thing is blocked off so it can't grow there. But it works on the principle that this thing is trying to send a signal through here. The melon and pumpkin are of course 4 blocks, so it'll send the signal through the melon or pumpkin, go into here and fire along through here. So let's just quickly build this over here to the side. Now we want to start with a 16 long bit of water, length of water, so that should be 16 just like that. and cover it up with slabs. Now we need to make now alongside these two, we need to make sure there's 15 of these. That's 14. We want 14 of these over here, and you can put the pistons one block away from your tilled dirt, like so. I'm building both sides because this is a dual-sided machine. Now we also want to put one piston on the far one over here, and this is our redstone 6 bits. This bit requires repeaters, one there and one there, and one over one here. We need a redstone bit over here, and one going all the way across the back of our pistons here. This will power our pistons, and that is just about it actually. Now we do need to make sure that we've got some solid block over here to prevent the melons or pumpkins from growing in these blocks. The last bit you need is a lever. Let's just get one. I don't think I've got one in my inventory, a lever. A redstone block would do just as well, or something that powers this, so a torch might work. And there we go. So now all you need to do is plant your melon seeds or your pumpkin seeds, watch them grow, and fire away. This design is repeatable. You just need to make sure not to allow the redstone block tiles here to be separate from one another. This design has the advantage that while it requires just as many pistons as it has as the other one, it is a little bit cheaper. It doesn't require as much redstone. Now the disadvantage is it takes a lot more space and over a lot bigger scale. For this one, for instance, in the distance, can do 196 divided by 2, which is roughly 100 pieces of melon and pumpkin together. This one can only do 12. It can only do 15 or 30. And if you manage to fit 2 in a single chunk, that's 60. So it's a little bit less efficient than the one back there, but it is a little bit more efficient. So it is a little bit cheaper to build to start with. Now I do recommend this design if you've got a lot more time and a lot more resources. I recommend this design if you are just starting out or have a little bit of resources but not enough and not so much to burn on this big one. So I hope you've enjoyed this part of the tutorial. And of course, likewise, this one needs to have redstone. It needs to have the rails going underneath in the minecart hopper. So all the designs I've trialed here really do need that minecart hopper underneath these things. Otherwise, this thing doesn't really work. You could, of course, just come in and manually collect them yourself. But what's the fun in doing that if you're trying to automate everything? So I hope you've enjoyed this other tutorial on melons and pumpkin farming. If you have, remember to leave a like and subscribe and comment below if this thing has really helped you. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.